Zack Snyder's Justice League, a movie that came out a little less than a week ago, at least at the time of recording this, and was a long time coming. But there was a long road of getting there, including getting the same movie, but universally agreed to be worse. So, let's talk about that. Hi guys, DPX here, and I am the In-Depth Detective. Welcome to the show with that same name. Today we look at what went wrong and then right with Josstice League. Before we get started, you know what to do. If you like this video, subscribe if new, hit the bell, and leave a comment, and you'll be a loyal subscriber. Zack Snuder, a filmmaker known for making films that are more dark and depressing, and he started the DCEU, or DC Extended Universe, with Man of Steel. Man of Steel, while some thought it was fantastic and even a masterpiece, others thought it was shit. Needless to say, Man of Steel was a very divisive film. I personally actually really liked the film, but I can see why maybe you wouldn't. A few years later, we get Batman vs. Superman, which had so much hype behind it. If it wasn't for the name alone and the prospect of having Batman vs. Superman in a movie, and that should be enough to get people interested. It was way more divisive though, and probably leans more towards the side against it. The DCEU wasn't doing so hot. Snyder and the DC execs were in some disagreements, and the DCEU's next film, Suicide Squad, which wasn't Zack Snyder and probably could actually get its own episode, was a massive disappointment as well. However, in 2017, we got Wonder Woman, the first ever DCEU film that was universally liked, or at least not hated. It was not divisive, that's what I'm trying to say. It started to seem good for the future of the DCEU, but at the same time, Josstice League was happening, and the DC and Warner Bros. Execs were in some disagreements with Zack Snyder. But then it took an unexpected turn. During the filming of Josstice League, Zack Snyder's epic, the news dropped that his daughter had committed suicide. Understandably, Zack Snyder was devastated and had no choice but to leave the project. However, the movie wasn't done, and Warner Brothers didn't like some of the stuff Snyder did, so they hired Joss Whedon to edit, finish, and reshoot the movie. This seemed promising at first glance, but then many people realized the flaw in doing this. The difference between a Zack Snyder film and a Joss Whedon film are night and day. If a Zack Snyder film is all dark and depressing, a Joss Whedon film is the exact opposite. This also caused many issues. Henry Cavill, for example, was in the middle of filming Mission Impossible and had a mustache that Paramount said he can't shave, leading to the reshoots to have a CGI'd Henry Cavill where they CGI'd the mustache off, and it just looked so weird. Not only that, for the reshoots, Ben Affleck had gained a bit of weight, so he looked noticeably different in certain scenes. With all of that, a movie eventually did come out in November of 2017. How was it? Josstice League came out in November of 2017, as I just said 2 seconds ago, and it didn't do as well as anticipated. Whether it be financially or critically, maybe more so critically though. Many critics didn't think that the tones of a Snyder film and a Whedon film went together at all, and it was just so inconsistent. Also, critics pointed out that since at that point characters like Aquaman, The Flash, and Cyborg haven't been introduced yet, they rush backstories and character introductions, and it becomes hard to really care for them that much. Josstice League also didn't meet Warner Bros.' box office expectations. It grossed $657.9 million at the box office, which isn't usually a bad amount, but for a Josstice League movie with as much hype and anticipation as this one, it was expected to do at least $1 billion, and it probably should have. It was unfortunate, and the DCEU went a full year and a month without a new film, where we eventually got Aquaman, but something was different this time around. Aquaman had a much better critical response and was the first DCEU film to hit $1 billion at the box office. Who could have seen that coming? Aquaman of all films. Not only that, the next year saw Shazam, which seemed to win over many people, and later on that year, Joker came out, and while it wasn't a part of the DCEU, and it was a one-off, it was still a huge critical and financial success, becoming the #1 highest grossing rated R film of all time. Somewhere at that point, a certain hashtag started to trend. A lot of words started to fly around about a Snyder Cut because, remember, Snyder shot many scenes that ended up just not in the movie at all. But then a new hashtag started to trend. Hashtag ReleaseTheSnyderCut. This was while acknowledging that the Snyder Cut, which was most likely to have existed, it wasn't finished, and we probably wouldn't see it for a while. It started many debates over whether or not there even was a Snyder Cut, and if there was, even that started more debates over how they'd release the Snyder Cut. Furthermore, it seemed highly unlikely to release in theaters, even with the movie's cast members sending the hashtag like everyone else. But then, the launch of a little thing called HBO Max was coming up. And not only that, it was during a pandemic where people were locked at home and the theaters weren't open. And because of this, many people realized, why not drop the Snyder Cut on HBO Max? It would make perfect sense and would instantly get many eyes on the new streaming service. After a few more hashtags and soon before the launch of the service, Warner Bros. Officially announced that this Josstice League Snyder Cut, later renamed to Zack Snyder's Josstice League, is going to be a thing that we will be able to see and will be coming to HBO Max exclusively in March of 2021. This is something that was incredibly unprecedented. Many movies have had director's cuts before, that's nothing new, but they usually don't come out till like another 10 to 15 years after the original cut. Justice League, however, came out in 2017, and the Snyder Cut was set to release in 2021. That's like a good, 4 years? It is also worth noting that Warner Bros. Probably had this in the pipelines before it became a huge movement, because I don't know, that's just how it usually works. But the fans still did want to see Zack Snyder's original vision, so credit does go to the fans for making it possible. However, more and more time went on. Info dropped saying that the new scenes to shoot cost a lot more than expected. Not only that, it was announced to be a 4-hour-long movie, which was then announced to be split up like a mini-series, which was eventually changed again to just one long 4-hour movie. In addition, Warner Bros. Execs said that Zack Snyder's Justice League is a cul-de-sac and a one-and-done, which caused some toxic people to think that they had little faith in the project. Other news dropped saying that Jared Leto's Joker was going to be in it, as well as the movie being rated R. This was a very ambitious project from Zack Snyder, and fortunately, it was a success. While at the time of writing this, no viewer numbers have been released, so I can't really say how well it did, I guess, the streaming equivalent to financially, but I can only assume it's a good number. Not only that, the film was received much better by critics and audiences alike, with many people, including myself, saying that Zack Snyder's Justice League is the real deal. Not everyone loved the film, and that's alright, it's not going to be for everyone, but everyone can agree that this is a much better film than Whedon's cut in virtually every single way possible. This is something unprecedented, and something I'm not entirely sure if we will ever see happen again. So this might be like the only time we ever see anything like this. But because of the Snyder Cut, stuff like Release the Ayer Cut has started trending. And again, Suicide Squad can get its own video. There's a lot behind that one. But that one seems a bit less likely. However, while not being perfect, the fact that the Snyder Cut exists and we are able to see it on HBO Max for free, it makes it hard to really say anything bad about it. Thank you to the fans and to the execs and Zack Snyder for making this possible, because it was a long time coming. This movie was definitely the movie that should have been released in theaters as opposed to Whedon's version. And while I try not to be too opinionated on the series, I think we can all agree with that. But here's the question for this episode. Now with Zack Snyder's Justice League out, do you think the Snyderverse should continue? Or do you think the DCEU should keep doing its own little things like how they've been doing for the past couple of years? Be sure to leave a comment down below. Anyways, that was this episode of The In-Depth Detective. Any crazy stories or production development histories or controversies or whatever that have to do with movies, video games, TV shows, or anything of the sort you want me to cover on this channel, let me know down below. Be sure to like this video, come subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.